Hey everyone, this is the ShutInBakas. My name is Chris. Today we're going to be doing a follow-up video to the Spirit Chronicles anime, or Seiri Gensoki. Again, a terrible pronunciation, I'm sure, but I'm trying. So, I've got up to episode 9, and episode 9 is just more of the same shit. So, if you want a recap of my last impressions episode, which was about halfway through, about episode 6 or 7, if I believe, it was very boring. I was so bored. This show had a good idea, executed horribly. I feel like that's most shows, or like most isekais, but like they just don't follow through very well. And overall, I would say it still has potential. It still has it, but they're just failing in every chance they have. So let's talk about it. The new episodes. So Rio is still an annoying little shit. Sorry for the profound language there, but it's true. The latest episode, episode 9, he's still a bit of an ass. And he's overly annoying. Although I'm starting to believe that's not because he's Rio, but more because he's more Haruto. Which would make a lot of sense. I've also found an extremely annoying part where everybody is extremely formal because for some reason they decided in this new arc where he's gone to his home country, so to speak. Everybody, it's basically just historical Japan. Like, just take any reference picture from like the feudal era of Japan, and like that's what it is, just with spirit powers. I really think that's a really bad cop out. Like, just make a historical Japanese anime at that point. It doesn't need to be Japanese. Like, I don't understand why they have to do that. I mean, I get it. Other worlds probably have the same sort of ideas for architecture and all that jazz. But the fact is that this is one-to-one Japanese architecture. And the fact that Haruto inside of Rio doesn't even think about that. Like, the closest he gets is he sees some noodles and goes, huh, there's a noodles. So, going on from the last episode I made, where it's clear that Haruto is not a dominant personality, he's just got some memories inside Rio. Rio doesn't care. He just doesn't give a shit. And that is extremely obvious, and I really dislike that. It might as well just not even be an isekai. Like, I've said that before, and I'll say it again. This show didn't need to be an isekai. It really didn't. Like, nothing about this had to be an isekai. But here we are. It changes nothing. Like, take Haruto out of the picture and nothing changes. Literally. So anyway, next up, we're going to talk about how cool the art is in episode, I think it was 7. Episode 7 where, or was it 6? I'm not sure, but it was one of the newer episodes, 7. I think it was 7. Sorry. They showed Haruto at his parents' grave. And the artwork was really nice there. Like, it felt like it could have been like a wallpaper or something. And I'll give them that. Like, the still images are really nice to look at. The artwork is fine. The character designs are still good. But obviously, when they're animated, like they're moving, it kind of falls to pieces. It's not a very good look. Because for some reason, they just can't seem to pull the animation budget together to actually make this an enjoyable experience. It's bearable. Like, I don't find any particular huge problems with it. Like, you can see so many cost-cutting measures. Like, there was a scene of a past war that was going on, and there was like all these dudes. It was like 10 guys, and this one dude charged into them to fight them, and like as soon as the fight started, it was all just a big smoke cloud with big clangs and light flashes every now and then, and that was the most obvious way of not having to animate that scene I have ever seen. Like, it was so obvious that they just could not be biffed or did not have the budget for it. And I found that pretty funny, actually. And other stuff like, at the end of episode 7, which actually got me into the show again for a brief second before it went back to being shit, Rio was basically protecting 2 little girls that he's been staying with from this generic I'm a big bad guy who's got such a complex about how he's the best, he's the coolest. And so obviously, I was honestly very surprised at this point, because Rio literally just, like, he threw him through a door, and yeah, he actually lost it. Like, the weird part about it is Rio actually showed some emotion, some character. I was just flabbergasted by this. So Rio basically just stands on his neck and just was like choking him to death. Like, this is the first time we've seen Rio like genuinely try and kill someone straight up, and it was quite jarring, to put it mildly, because we haven't seen him like, go apeshit before, really. And yeah, like, the guy was obviously like, oh, please stop. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll stop. So then he stops strangling him and just starts beating his face in. Like, he literally had to be pulled off of him by a different dude, or else he would have killed him. Like, he was actually beating his face into mush, essentially. And the afterimage was basically this dude's face was just completely black and blue. Like, it was pretty brutal. Rio's fists were covered in blood. Like, his face had splatters of blood all over it. It was pretty brutal, because this show hadn't really it hasn't really done that before. Like, it's weird how such a small thing that most anime do with a serious plot. This is I might have to remind you here. This is an anime with a serious plot. And it's only taken 7 episodes to get to anything mildly interesting / serious. And you know what the problem with it is? They kind of wrapped it up within 1 minute of that happening. So basically what happened there was Rio realized that Haruto is taking more control of his body. Not really control, he's more influencing him, because now that he has the memories of Haruto, which was just a, nice Japanese boy who was all, hunky-dory, he was nice to people, but Rio is not. He's a boy that's hell-bent on revenge to, avenge his mother and kill whoever killed her. And obviously the personalities are colliding, because Haruto is such a nice guy, he just knows self-defense, but he doesn't want to kill anyone, whereas Rio is just straight up like, I'll kill a bitch, he will kill someone without even thinking about it. And it's a weird thing, because they don't really portray it very well. Like, they just kind of like make it seem like Rio is the one in control all the time, but Haruto's got a wee bit of influence on him since he's got the memories. And I feel like that's the wrong way of doing it, because honestly it just kind of makes things a bit more confusing as to who is making the decisions. Because I can't imagine Rio being such a nice dude to all these people. Like, I get the fact that he was probably a nice kid, but the fact is, like, his mother was killed in front of him, and he's had years to harness that hatred. Like, the amount of revenge stories where they just kind of, something traumatic happens in their backstory, and they grow up to be, like, the edgy emo kid. Well, not emo, but edgy kid who doesn't really, take shit and doesn't interact with people in a kind way. But Haruto has, I'm guessing, changed him in that regard. That's my guess. Either that or everything he does is, like, just a blatant lie, and he only does it so that he can, make a harem. I don't know. Speaking of, he's got a harem, and it just forever grows. At the end of episode 9, he wakes up with, basically at the end of episode 9, he left his home country to go back to the forest, where the little girl fox, little sister is. And he's back there. It's like, hey, it's been a year, but I'm back. And they all just go like, hey, what's up, man? And then the following morning, it's like, oh yeah, so I've woken up with a pink-haired naked chick next to me. And that really reminded me. We haven't seen the pink-haired girl in forever. The pink-haired girl was actually, like, the interesting part, because it's extremely obvious. But the pink-haired girl is obviously the girlfriend that Haruto, well, the girl that Haruto made the promise to marry. It's extremely obvious. Like, it's in the opening, it's in the promotional art, like, it has to be her. Otherwise, like, what's the point? Unless they're bait and switching us, in which case, cool. But yes, he wakes up with her, and then, like, all five of the girls that he lives with comes in going, oh my god, what are you doing, Rio? And yeah, it's just really stupid. So, overall, this is I really struggle with this show. It's got so much potential, and I just don't like it, because it just does it so horribly. They cop out on generic tropes. The way that everyone talks to each other is super annoying, like it's way too formal. Like they talk like they're in high school or something, like they have to be like Ryo-sama, like they have to be so polite to everyone, and the only people who talk somewhat normally are shunned or assholes. There's no in between. And Ryo is all like, I don't know, the moral high ground at all times, and it's kind of annoying in a way. That rant aside, I feel like they added more girls in this new part, and the whole problem with this is that they keep adding girls into this show to make a huge harem, but none of the girls get a spotlight. So you've got your little sister Fox girl. We know who she is, and that's as far as we got. We don't know what her backstory in Japan was, really, aside from her obviously being a little girl. We don't know much about Haruto, aside from the fact that he had a crush, and that was it. We don't know anything about any of the girls he's met along the way, aside from, like, a very bland backstory, like, oh yes, I was born. You don't say. Like, it's obvious that they want to do something with this, but they just don't know how to do it, because it's like, they introduce so many mechanics, like the spirit arts, they isn't explained in the slightest, or why Ryo has his own specific powers that's different to everyone else's. They don't explain that either. They don't explain anything, and it's getting very annoying. Because this show is very story-centered, because there's nothing to the action, it's all pretty bland and boring. The characters are all very, shallow. They don't do anything, so you can't enjoy the show for the characters. The artwork isn't even that good, like it's pretty average if you ask me. And the story isn't making sense, so like there's not really much left. There's not much left to make this show, like, enjoyable at this point. Like, the world isn't even interesting. Like, usually the part of an isekai is you get sent to a special, to a fantasy world. But the world is boring. Like, it's just straight up generic fantasy. Like, oh yes, I have the power of a spirit. Oh, there's elves. There's faction. There's poor people. There's castles. Royalty. It's just such, copy and paste. Like, I feel like I'm getting way too into this, because this show is obviously not meant to be taken as seriously, but the point is it portrays it as it. Like, it goes on about how this is a revenge story, and, well, we see Ryo get his revenge for his mother, but then, like, he goes and talks with chicks for 3 episodes straight, so it's like, they don't know how to pace this at all. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble. I know this is what this entire channel is about, just me rambling about shows. But this is actually just, it upsets me, because I wanted this show to be better, but it's just not. It's pretty bad, honestly. Like, if you want something as a background thing to watch, or just like an isekai to get you out of isekais, this could be it. I'm not even exaggerating. This show actually makes isekais look like they're very bland and boring. Until you go back to something like Jobless Reincarnation or Konosuba, this one makes it look very boring. Because the opening episode was good. It was like, oh, okay, something interesting happened. He's got this goal of marrying this girl, and now he's been shucked into the body of a child. But now we don't hear about Haruto at all anymore, aside from Ryo saying, hey, I've got his memory somehow. Or just anything. Like, everything just kind of gets, like, pushed to the side. Like, the academy, the teacher, the white-haired teacher from, like, the first parts of the series, she's just gone. Like, he's meant to be writing her letters. Where's the letters? I'm sorry, it's just, like, they're leaving so many things open, and, like, just, they don't care. It's super annoying. Anyway, I'm sorry, that's, again, rambling. I'll end the video now. I'll make another video when the series is complete. If it's not good by then, I'm dropping the series. I am not going to watch the season 2 unless they leave it at a good cliffhanger. If they don't, I'm going to be peeved. Because currently they still have some stuff to work with. The promotional art has Ryo with white hair, And so is the opening. The opening has Rio with white hair at some point. And that makes me wonder if he's going to get some special power that can blow everyone away and it will just be, overpowered main protagonist. And I feel like that's probably all it's going to be, but like, there's still some hope, right? There's still some hope that they can pull something together to make this somewhat enjoyable or bearable. So yeah, there's still hope. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Hit the like button if you liked the video, dislike it if you didn't. Leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on Spirit Chronicles. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and hit the bell button if you want to know when we're uploading. Follow me on Twitter at ShutInBakas, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.